Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this Friday. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Russ Riesinger. Senate Republicans defeat a motion to call new witnesses in the impeachment trial against President Trump.
They then agreed to closing arguments and a final vote next week on whether to remove the president from office.
Katherine Johnson is on Capitol Hill tonight with the latest.
The yeas are 49, the nays are 51. The motion is not agreed to.
The Republican-controlled Senate voted against additional witnesses in the impeachment trial of President Trump.
Mr. Majority Leader?
After the vote, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell tried but did not have the support to end the trial with an immediate vote on whether to acquit or convict the president. Senators agreed to hold closing arguments Monday and a final vote Wednesday.
If the president is acquitted with no witnesses, no documents, the acquittal will have no value, because Americans will know that this trial was not a real trial.
The debate over witnesses dominated the closing arguments from House managers and the president's lawyers.
You've heard from a lot of witnesses. Even with all of those witnesses, it doesn't prove up an impeachable offense. The articles fail.
Before Friday's session began, the New York Times dropped another revelation from former National Security Advisor John Bolton's upcoming memoir.
According to the report, Bolton writes that President Trump directed him in early May to call then-Ukrainian President-elect Volodymyr Zelensky to urge him to meet with Rudy Giuliani, who planned to discuss investigations into the Democrats. The president's request allegedly came during an Oval Office meeting. President Trump denied the claim in a statement, saying that meeting never happened. Katherine Johnson, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Well, the president's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, has tweeted his denial of the latest John Bolton book claims, calling them a lie.
As expected, Montana's two U.S. senators split their votes tonight.
Republican Steve Daines voted no. Democrat Jon Tester voted yes. Daines then issued a statement in which he said it is time to vote to acquit the president. He called the impeachment process the most partisan impeachment in our nation's history and said no crimes had been alleged against the president.
Tester says the Senate should hear from those with firsthand knowledge of the president's action. If Friday's vote holds, Tester says it will be the first impeachment trial when the Senate did not hear directly from witnesses. Now, the vote on no witnesses means clears the way for a likely vote to acquit the president next week.
Well, the Trump administration is proposing some big changes in funding for Medicaid expansion, which provides health coverage to millions of able-bodied low-income adults.
But for now, Montana won't be among the states adopting those changes. This week, the Trump administration said it will allow states to get capped lump sum federal payments for expanded Medicaid. But any change would have to be approved by Montana's next governor and legislature, which doesn't meet again until 2021. Democratic Governor Steve Bullock, whose term ends this year, told MTN News today that the move is an attempt to undercut health coverage for those who need it most.
About 85,000 low-income Montanans are covered by Medicaid expansion, and the feds pay 90% of the program's costs. Last year, Montana approved new work requirements for some of those covered by Medicaid expansion, but is still waiting for federal approval of those changes. Now, some states that haven't expanded Medicaid are supporting the Trump proposal, saying it would allow them to design a less costly program.
A Yellowstone County District Court judge now faces allegations of misconduct.
This after a formal complaint was filed with the Supreme Court today against Judge Ashley Harada. The complaint alleges that Harada violated rules of conduct while running for that seat in November of 2018.
Q2's David J. is standing by now with more on that complaint. David.
Jeanelle and Russ, the Judicial Standards Commission's complaint mentioned 7 violations, 6 are campaign related, and the allegations came while she was a candidate. Harada won her election by 125 votes in 2018. Some of those counts allege she had an endorsement for her candidacy on her Facebook page, that she endorsed candidates, and that she made a statement with a total disregard for the truth. Her attorney, Russ Fagg, says Judge Harada, if she's done anything wrong, she will admit to those, and those things she doesn't think she's done wrong, she will deny. And he also said Judge Harada looks forward to serving the people of Yellowstone County for many years into the future. Russ Fagg says the commission's complaint came from a very confidential proceeding, and he expects to work with the commission and Judge Ed McLean to come to some sort of a resolution. Russ?
All right, thank you, David. One man has died after rolling his truck on Neibauer Road west of Billings last night. That truck rolled into the ditch near the intersection of 44th Street West and was seen leaking gas. Highway Patrol Trooper Eric Gardner says the driver was taken to the hospital with serious injuries and then later died. The crash remains under investigation and the driver's name will not be released until tomorrow.
2 people killed in a head-on crash with a Busby school bus yesterday morning were a father and daughter from Billings. It happened on Highway 212 between Ashland and Lame Deer around 7 a.m. 28-year-old Aubrey Wallery was driving a 2015 Mitsubishi Lancer. Her father, 59-year-old Stephen Wallery, was in the passenger seat. Montana Highway Patrol says the car was heading east, and while negotiating a curve, it crossed over the center line and crashed head-on into the school bus. MHP reports speed and icy roads are both suspected.
A portion of Interstate 80 east of Laramie, Wyoming finally opened about an hour ago after a multiple vehicle crash that happened this morning.
Now take a look. More than 24 vehicles, including 19 commercial trucks, were involved. It all started around 7:45 a.m. when a trooper stopped to check on motorists who had slid off the road. 2 eastbound commercial trucks passing, then collided, causing several other drivers to lose control of their vehicles and crash. Multiple people injured were transported to the hospital. And now turning to Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire. We are used to ice in January, but now we have a little fire to go along with it, Bob.
Yeah, well, this is the last day of January, and we wound up with an average high temperature of 41.6 degrees so far this month, and that was about 6 degrees warmer than average. So with a warmer than average temperatures in January, take a look. We starting off February with a red flag warning across the high line. Look at that. Winds gusting to 75 miles per hour and low humidity. If a fire gets started, it will burn out of control in a hurry. Now that's on Saturday. Then on Sunday, look what happens. Down in the south, that is winter storm watch all the way across southern Montana. Could see maybe like 10 to 20 inches of snow in the Beartooth, 4 to 8 inches of snow in the southwest corner of the state. Bighorns could see maybe 6 to 12 inches of snow around Sheridan, maybe 10 to 20 inches of snow. A lot of snow moving in across southern Montana on Sunday. And again on Monday, we'll have more about that and what we'll get in Billings in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Each year, a 2-day nationwide survey is completed to gather information on homelessness across the country.
The point-in-time homeless survey counts how many people are living in places not meant for habitation, but rather homeless camps on the streets, in shelters, or in hotels. Volunteers administered the survey at several locations throughout town and answered any questions.
That questionnaire helps communities gain an idea of how to manage resources and where help is needed. The findings are reported for federal funding. That count here in Billings wrapped up today.
Everyone's a person, and unfortunately some people fall on harder times than others, and they just might need that extra hand, and it's always important just to kind of take a look and see what you can do to help, even if it's just talking to them. Sometimes they just need someone to listen. That's the biggest thing.
And a veteran advocate was also on hand to talk with homeless veterans about assistance options.
Flu activity remains widespread throughout the state of Montana, with every county reporting at least one case. In the 4th week of 2020, the state saw just over 800 new cases. Now, that's easily the most since the beginning of flu season in October. Yellowstone County saw 77 cases this past week, now up to 435 for the season. In all, Montana has reported more than 3,000 cases of the flu, with just under 150 of those requiring hospitalization, and one person has died.
Well, the government is taking unprecedented steps to contain the coronavirus as the 7th case is now confirmed here in the U.S. The Trump administration has declared public emergency. U.S. citizens returning from the epicenter of the outbreak must be quarantined for 14 days. And starting Sunday, only 7 U.S. airports will receive flights from China. A spokesman for Representative Greg Gianforte tells Q2 tonight that Gianforte has received 2 requests from Montanans asking for help to get home. And Gianforte encourages other Montanans to reach out to his office if they would like to evacuate.
Still to come on the Q2 10 o'clock news, nearly 200 students, teachers, and staff joined the fight for school choice today.
And tonight in sports, a handful of Montana top high school teams hit the court nearby tonight. Scott shows us if we have any surprises.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.